A few people. I was just a kid, and I was writing, and
And you learned a lot
oh
then?
yeah, I did learn a lot, and I starved. You know, I went through that whole.
Norman Jewison talking to Robert Osborne, Turner Classic Movies. Mr. Osborne passed away March the 6th at his home in New York at the age of 84. He and Ben Mankiewicz and that great staff at his Turner Classic Movies continue to tell stories about, well, Hollywood and those who made it famous. And I love what he has done for 23 years at the helm. And whether it has been with Drew Barrymore or Alec Baldwin, it's always interesting conversation. And this is the man that really knew the stars, from Robert Wagner, just many, many others. He will be missed. But because of his teaching and, of course, film, he will be able to continue to educate generations to come when it comes to the great business that drives our economy, that entertains us and helps us every day in life, and that is Hollywood. Robert Osborne, dead at the age of 84, passing away March 6th, and Turner Classic Movies right now continuing their tribute to Mr. Osborne. I have a tribute for Mr. Chuck Berry coming up in just a couple of moments, who passed away yesterday at the age of 90. Truly rock and roll in just a moment, but a little Propel picked up at Coons Market yesterday, and I must tell you, always working up a thirst here in the Pratt Pack Gym, even if it is 2:30 in the morning. I hope your Saturday went well. We'll be back on the air at 5 a.m. for CBS Radio News, but we're going to get to the NCAA just a couple of seconds. But Tyler Glass now, I've got to talk about this young man who's going for the 5th spot in the rotation. 5 strikeouts, 4 strong innings. Pirates got a win 13-8 against Philadelphia yesterday. But how about John Jaso? How are you going to keep this kid out of the lineup? Homer and a double yesterday. Big day for the Pirates. Grapefruit action. And of course, 93.7 The Fan is where you can hear them all the time. Yesterday, listening to Tab Douglas on my way home from CBS Radio World Headquarters in Greentree. He is really Mr. Hockey, one of the brightest people anywhere when it comes to hockey. Talking, Pens will take on Florida at 1 o'clock at the PPG Paints Arena today. Jaromir Jagr still going strong in his 4th decade, and he's been playing hockey ever since he was 18 years of age. And remember him back in the day with number 66, Mario Lemieux? He just continues to shine. Maybe one of the greatest athletes of all time. And Kevin Gorman dropped by yesterday. He, of course, part of the 93.7 staff, also at TribLive.com. Today he is writing about an interview that he had with Kevin Stallings, talking all about Pitt basketball. You can check that out at TribLive.com. Now, that takes us to the NCAA tournament. It was West Virginia over Notre Dame. It was Wisconsin upsetting Villanova. Gonzaga defeated Northwestern 79-73. Other scores from yesterday: Xavier over Florida State 91-66. It was Butler over Middle Tennessee State. Arizona defeated St. Mary's Catholic. Arizona, as in Sean Miller, they get a win 69-60. Also yesterday, Florida a winner over Virginia. It was Purdue 80, Iowa State 76. Syracuse lost to Mississippi yesterday. The final in that one was 85-80. Now, today, Michigan-Louisville, 12:10. We'll get started. CBS, TNT, they are all there all the time with March Madness. Such good basketball. Well, Wichita State and Kentucky today, Michigan State, Kansas, Arkansas, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Oregon, USC coming off that big one against SMU a couple of days ago, taking on Baylor, South Carolina, Duke, Cincinnati, UCLA, Belmont and Georgia Tech, TCU and Iowa, and Oakland and Richmond. That's the schedule for today. Now, World Baseball Classic, it was Puerto Rico continuing their dominance. They've been playing great ball as they continue to play teams from around the globe. They beat USA 6-5 yesterday. And it is the Arnold Palmer Invitational continuing at Bay Hill in Orlando. You've got Kevin Kistner and Charlie Huffman, your leader. They both are tied at 11 under. Now, to Chuck Berry, who passed away at the age of 90 yesterday. I've been around his music since my early days when they used to actually play records on the radio. That's right, folks. We would cue it up and drop the needle, and yes, people would tune in and phone in for their request. And I got to tell you, there wasn't a weekend that didn't go by, no matter where I was, Beaver Falls, Newcastle, Eastern Ohio, Ambridge, Pittsburgh, wherever I was playing the vinyl, they were asking for Johnny B. Good, Maybelline, so many others that this guy was famous for. And one of the reasons that I really liked him in his early days, because he was from St. Louis, he was the same age as my father, and my father grew up in a little town called Flat Rock, Missouri, which was about 70 miles or so out of St. Louis in the suburbs, St. Joseph, Missouri. Well, Chuck Berry passing away at the age of 90, and what goes with him? Rock and roll history, legendary history, guitar. If it wasn't for him, well, we wouldn't have Back to the Future, that great movie, that scene that we think about that makes us just remember Michael J. Fox, right, doing his version of Johnny B. Good. Always very prominent when I think of that song. But also, people like John Lennon, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, played with them, loved them. They all copied them. Even some of the great riffs that came out of Hitsville, Motown, USA, a lot of those people grew up listening to Chuck Berry. But this is what you need to understand about Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry gave birth to rock and roll. No Chuck Berry, no Elvis Presley, no Beatles. Because of that flavor, what he was able to do with those guitar riffs. He was one of the most energetic people on stage ever, swinging an axe. And he had a sound that you just need to hear a couple of chords and you know exactly who you are listening to. But you go back to Chess Records in the early days of rock and roll, before there was even a Sun record, and people like Johnny Cash and Conway Twitty and Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis. There was a couple of guys, Muddy Waters being one, and Chuck Berry, who were really paving the way for the rest of the world, and Little Richard. If it wasn't for just those three alone, Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry, and Little Richard, hey, the sock hop would have never been the same. So to Chuck Berry, God rest your soul, and sir, thank you for all of the years of great music. And I must say, probably without you, the career playing music just wouldn't have been the same, because you always had that flavor to savor when it came to playing a guitar. And ask any of the young guitarists from the area that you know, and they'll tell you they've all been baptized in Johnny B. Good. He just wasn't good. He was great. 5 a.m. CBS Radio News starts today. Rob Pratte Sunday on News Radio 1020 KDK. Have a great day, everybody.